Finalmente la quinta stagione è arrivata anche sull'app gratuita e sul sito. Dalla Jenkins ha mantenuto la promessa che ci ha fatto sin dalla prima stagione, e cioè che la serie sarebbe stata accessibile a tutti, con le dovute tempistiche, ovviamente. Ecco, domenica, quando ha inaugurato la presenza della quinta stagione nell'app, ha fatto una diretta in cui c'è un bellissimo dialogo con le attrici della serie, in cui parlano di una delle scene più iconiche, più belle della quinta stagione, a mio avviso una delle più belle di tutta intera la serie, la scena del Daieno. Vedrete e capirete. E inoltre ci danno delle bellissime anticipazioni sulle riprese della sesta stagione, quelle che riguardano la morte e la passione di Gesù, e ci mostrano anche il modo intenso con cui lavorano dietro le quinte, il cuore che sta dietro quest'opera, il modo in cui si appoggiano l'uno sull'altro a vicenda, la bellezza di questa equipe che sta dando vita a quest'opera straordinaria che è The Chosen. E allora lascio la parola a loro adesso. È una diretta in inglese. Io ho provato, vi assicuro, ho fatto tutti gli sforzi possibili col generatore automatico a ricomporre le parole, a renderlo in un italiano più fruibile possibile, non so quanto corretto. Chi è bravo in inglese si ascolti solo l'audio e mi salvi per pietà, gli altri si accontentino. Ho fatto del mio meglio perché era veramente qualcosa che andava condiviso anche con noi pubblico italiano, quindi lascio la parola a loro. Ci vediamo alla fine.
I want to talk about a couple of things. I want to talk about the filming of the Women's Last Supper. You guys all sat down, then I'm looking over and all I'm seeing are just lips quivering and tears streaming down the face, and I'm like, you know, we're going to be doing this about 25 times. You're going to need to kind of...
But it was so sweet, though.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's like something you can't help.
I remember like, okay, we're going to do this. The camera's not on me. It's like on Jonathan or somebody else. And I'm like, say my... It's like...
It's the writing. I mean, I just remember reading it and getting emotional, and like there's so much tenderness. And I think up until that point, Jesus is taking care of everyone, healing and bringing peace and bringing joy. And this is like the first time that a group of us get to give that back to him and give him a little bit of solace during this, what we know is like something bad is coming, something really difficult is coming. And so like to be able to share a little bit of comfort with him is so moving and so beautiful, and all of our different stories, being able to express that with each other. And it's also, I think, the first time all the women are together and sharing their stories with each other, with Jesus, and
remembering
it's
each
really
other's
powerful.
stories.
Yeah.
Even that first part where we're kind of like going about and he was 13 and he got lost and he left his tail. I always think of that moment as, oh, this is what I'm going to miss.
Yeah.
I don't think of the sad moments. I think of the really cool moments. And it just like breaks me because that is what's going to be missing in my life.
It was easier for the emotion and tears to come when it was a vulnerable, sweet place. The scenes that have been tearing my heart to pieces the most on this show are the ones between mother and son. Nothing else has gotten me on this series, no offense, because everybody's been great. But it has been every last scene between mother and son, even when you're not speaking. And it's just like, as someone who had longed for this type of relationship with my mother and as a mother, it's so precious. And because half of the planet most likely is a mom, it's like how many of them can relate to looking at Jesus in such a different way than they've ever seen him before, as someone's child, as a baby who ran and laughed and who threw up on your shoulder, who needed you.
Well, that's the thing that I strongly believe about scenes like this one, was that the first half of the scene has to feel like it's a human, normal scene at a dinner party. You know, and that's why we oftentimes write in these lines that have nothing to do with the plot and aren't even really advancing the story, other than it's just, this is what it would look like if these women got together and were talking with Jesus. And they would be making some jokes. And my favorite things that Vanessa does are things like, he was 12. He was, yes, oh, and you know, all the, and I'm
Like
like,
the way a mom would actually talk
and
about
I'm
her
like,
kid.
that's what I've never seen before in a Bible project. I've always been seen Mary as, especially Mother Mary, as the halo and
So perfect.
and so I'm like, the joking and the what I would strongly consider is a Jewish mama. I grew up in a Jewish neighborhood and would always go over to the houses of my Jewish friends, and the moms was always like, this and can you believe, and oh my goodness. And so we wrote that into Mother Mary. She's like, she's a Jewish mom. She's not just a statue. But because of the beginning of the scene, where you get lulled into this sense of, oh, this is normal, this is authentic, this is actually how real people would talk, then the Dainu part doesn't feel like it's a presented, staged event. It feels like normal human beings kind of shifted into this gear. And so what I'm curious about is, I see all the time, whether it's when we were shooting at the Cross or we were shooting these scenes, kind of what you just said. It seems like Vanessa is one of the go-to people. I mean, Jonathan is always saying, even if he's not interacting with you, I need a moment with Vanessa. Seems to be kind of the most commonly used vessel for
Typical mother.
She's coming on to set. Every other scene I have to do, that's a crying scene. Where is she?
I do hear that question sometimes. It's like, man, how do they get so emotional all the time, and to do 7 takes in a row, and how, and the term we oftentimes use is get there. How do you get there emotionally? And so usually before a scene that's going to be emotional, some people need to get by themselves. Some people listen to music, and then it seems a lot of people connect with Vanessa.
Just touch me.
So I am curious about that process. What is it specifically about Vanessa? Is it just the reminder that Jesus had a mom, or do you kind of get into character and that's the thing? I'm just wondering, like, what is it that
I think it's a
causes that?
combination, because I mean, personally, like, I bring a lot of myself into my roles. So like, there's knowing that Vanessa really is a mom, you know, and like knowing that Vanessa is using that experience and how painful that must be for her. You know, we've built relationships with each other as human beings. Like, I genuinely love these people.
Yeah.
So to see them in pain and accessing parts of themselves that might be painful, whether they're imagined or based in some reality, that makes me sad.
Yeah, it becomes almost a contagious.
It's the human touch connection, and just knowing you
touch each other a lot.
Yeah, even like a simple like holding of your hand and like looking into your eyes and just knowing who you are, because you are in so many ways a mom to all of us. So that immediately gets us there, because now I didn't think I had anything left in my tear tank. There's always something. We learned that in Italy. There's always something left. There's always more.
Well, the way I have taken all of this that we have together is like, each of us is a cellist. And when we have to bring that, a lot of times we feel empty. Like, I don't have it.
The scene
To
itself.
be there, yeah, sometimes you're exhausted, especially when we've been there for so long. What I find with all of these beautiful chalices sitting here, sparkling in front of me, is that when one of us is empty, it's like, I don't think I can. Someone else takes their chalice and they pour it into you.
There was a lot.
And then another one takes their chalice and they're all pouring into your chalice. And you're like, oh, I'm not empty because they're giving to me. And then now she's empty. She's poured so much into me. And it's now she needs to give and it's no longer there. And you're like, let me pour back into your chalice. And everyone's doing that. And we're just sharing in this together so that none of us are ever empty.
Yeah.
And I've never experienced that before. So when I think I don't have it and it's not there, they give it to me.
Or she says things like that.
And let's start rolling now. Here we go.
But it's true. It's true.
I think it was even just yesterday morning was crazy. We had nothing there except each other.
Start wailing.
Yeah. We just have each other to lean on and our own personal stories, the little that we do know, you know, or the lot. Or the lot, actually. We know a lot. So we're able to just use that real experiences, know what you're going through, knowing what you're going through, whatever we're going through, we can just like use it and pull from each other and know, like, I'm here for you, I'm proud of you, we're almost done, you got this. And even that is like, oh, okay, I can do it.
I think it's really like about accessing the truth of it. And I feel like we get to access that in each other in your moments of truth. And it just comes right out in your eyes. And it's like connection, instant connection. I think that's...
I remember there was one day of filming where I, for the first time in my whole career, much less on this show, I was empty. I had nothing. It was in the middle of the day. It had been absolutely exhausting. I had been filming for over a week and a half of constant challenge and different language and out in the middle of nowhere, and the whole crew was new and everything was like disorienting. Everything was disorienting and everything was exhausting. And I remember we did a shot where Jesus is literally lifted up, and it was so brutal, and he was yelling and screaming, and it's visceral, and it was a stunt, and so all the crew was working on it together, and then part of it didn't work, and I was so frustrated by some of that, and I like walked past you guys, and I started like doing this, and I go, I can't do this in front of everybody, and I said, I don't think that's
So you ran away.
So I literally did it.
We would have just been like,
Let it out, big guy. Let it out.
Yeah, it probably would have humanized me in some way in your eyes, but
Can't have that.
we can't have
but you
that.
cannot have that. I was in the middle of the set, and I was surrounded by people who were all doing things, and I'm literally going, try to get it together, and I'm doing this, and I'm going, get. So I walk over to the edge of the cliff, and it was clear from looking at you guys and from looking at Jonathan and what I was doing with myself that we had reached our end. Like that scene had taken as much out of us as anything, and I'm like, we've got another week and a half of this. I don't know how I'm gonna make it. So I cried like really uncontrollably for like 5 minutes, and kind of got it back together. Walked back on set, and they said, Amanda's here. And I hadn't seen her in 2 weeks. And so I'm like, oh, good, okay, that'll be nice. And she walked up, and that's what we saw in that behind the scenes videos. I just, so I saw Amanda, and she's like, hey, and she's all happy. And I
She has
literally,
no idea what's going on.
and she's like, oh, hey, what is happening? Like she's,
I told you.
and I literally just like put my head on her shoulder, and my arms were at my sides, just limp, and for just 2 minutes, just cried.
But that's that mothering thing. Like she's your partner, your
Yeah.
loving partner, but she swapped into that mothering energy when you needed that. That's what's
Right.
so
Poured into that child. Just knowing that people can be so cruel, it hurts.
And it's been happening for thousands of years.
And it still happens, and it made me sad as a human being. And then you look at Liz, even Liz is like, haha, she's just smiling, and then for some reason, she just goes, oh, and then her eyes will fill like a well. She's a master empath in a sense that she's there with you immediately, and then she multiplies it tenfold wherever you are. And then you're like, okay, we're doing this thing now. And then sometimes we're speaking in our character's voice.
So yeah, because sometimes people and actors use their real life.
Yeah.
And it seemed to me like when I would look over and you guys were about to go, you just turned to each other, and it seemed like it was more in character. Sometimes I would have the thieves on the cross, like the actors, like off camera, like yell and say something really cruel or taunting or mocking or whatever, just to try to create these circumstances that were visceral.
They bleed, the personal and the personal life and the character are bleeding into each other.
I think that we're lucky that we've been doing this together for so long. So there's like this history of us as ourselves, but also us as characters, and like our characters knowing each other for so long. There's no agreed upon thing. We don't go in and be like, all right, why don't we do it this way, or why don't we talk in character or something? Like it's always kind of a surprise to like see how we're going to react. But when you start sharing something in your voice as Mother Mary,
I think it's good that we don't plan it, because that surprise of it all is also something that it hits you, and all of a sudden you haven't heard it before, or you weren't expecting it, and you're just going.
In my career, I've never experienced anything like that. I've had plenty of characters that have had to cry. You just spend the whole day and you do 20 takes, and it's really hard. And it was like, oh, this is like weeks and weeks and weeks of it. And then we're coming back again months later, doing it again. And I'm so curious, going like, wow, I think I have this really new, visceral, accessible way to have instant tears.
The love, the respect I have for y'all, gratitude, you know, just the fact that I remember one night you said, how many people would kill to be here doing what we're doing? That I feel like is always present. And these people, I know these people feel the same way. And it's just like, I'll know if I hold their hands, it's just going to be something like, like it.
It's not even crying of sadness. Sometimes you can cry because you're grateful and you're just like life is good.
Like every human being just wants to be like looked in the eyes and seen, right? And like everyone sitting at this table has that ability with everyone else sitting at this table.
There is a female thing that happens when there's several females together. The empath thing triggers easier. It's more collective.
Because like in the script, when I first read season 6, I was like, oh, and then they weep. Oh, they weep harder. They wail. They're crying. Like every scene. But I think what was really cool about the writing this season was that a lot of these scenes were like variations on the theme of crying. Yeah. So there were moments where it was absolute rage and anger and disbelief, and then true sorrow and like grief, and then maybe a little bit of hope, and then love, and like there were like moments to be able to express a lot of different ways of
To be sad.
Well, that's where the job of the writing and the directing it actually comes into play, which is, well, we can't have every scene feel the same.
Right.
So when we did the scourging, that was something we talked about. It's like, well, this isn't the same as when you're at the cross, and the cross has to feel like it's more culmination of it. This is more the shock. How do we play it so that it just doesn't feel like just the whole season is just one session after another?
Like, there's us feeling all kinds of feelings, but also what the audience will feel. And sometimes no tears are very powerful. That's a very powerful thing.
Shock, numbness.
Shock, yes. Sometimes going with your gut and saying, oh, I don't know if I would
cry. Yeah.
break down and cry. What if I'm just stunned? Or like there's so many variations of shock and surprise and emotion. That's the one part it's been kind of fun to explore, like crying with intention.
I feel like when we're so focused, a lot of times we don't leave room for other real emotions, like being exhausted and confused, and allowing that to like dictate where we're going. Because there was times I wasn't sad at all. I was angry. I would look at certain people who were bringers of pain, and I was just filled with rage.
When the camera stopped rolling, a lot of us were like, like we started crying when they yelled cut.
And your body doesn't know it's fake. You don't know it's your body.
Your body does not know it's acting.
So let's go back though to this actual scene, the Diana scene at the table. So take me through the reading of the Women's Last Supper, because I remember I had this concept of, we know about the Last Supper, there's a famous Last Supper, it's with the dudes, and we get all that, but like we need kind of a women's Last Supper, right?
That was special.
And it was Tyler's idea, co-writer Tyler Thompson, to connect. Yes, because he's the magician with the, well, we could take this piece of history and connect it with this piece of history. And I remember when I read it for the first time, I'm like just tears streaming down my face, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is going to work. It's emotional terrorism in many ways. But I'm curious, like, thoughts when you read it.
Diana is a song that my family and I sing every year at Passover. And then I read the scene, and it was like a aha moment for me of like, what a beautiful sentiment, and you know what it means to have like the women have this moment with Jesus. And it's like, that was such a important part of his ministry, that he included the women in such a meaningful way. And you guys have done such an amazing job of including the women in the story of the show, and how much that'll mean to women that watch the show and love the show. So it just, and how much it means to us, you know, to have that special moment. So yeah, all of it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing that I think we're trying to do with the show. That's kind of the whole reason, is we're taking things that were stained glass windows or statues or religious practices that we just do every year, things we recite, things we sing.
Tradition.
Yeah, traditions that have been taking place for hundreds and hundreds and thousands of years, and reminding you that it's actually human beings talking about real things. And what would it have been like for Jesus's mom to do something like that?
That this is the penultimate conversation for all of us, because we have one more of these left together.
Stop it, Amber. Said the phrase to me one time that grief is praise, which I thought was such a beautiful way, because we're grieving what we kind of know is to come. Everyone has different levels of knowledge about what's to come. But we sit down and we praise. We don't sit down and go like, why does this have to happen, Jesus? We go straight into, and that's why it hurts. That's why beautiful moments hurt, is because there's an ending to the beauty. And that's painful.
I think doing this scene and finishing it, I remember the next day I had off and I had just like a migraine all day. And I was like, oh, that's fun. But I assumed that something intense was coming for season 6. You know, I just assumed that the women are there at the cross. So like kind of expecting to have to do more of that type of work with you guys. I've been nervous for years of like, how are we going to actually do that? How are we going to do season 6? But doing this scene that full day, it's like, oh, this group is going to do it. We can do it.
We'll kill it.
We can do this.
Yeah, do you do little things like before the take? Do you like when you're sitting here at the table like this, do you just squeeze hands or do a little just touch point or?
I feel, don't you think we sense it too with each other? Like you can feel when someone's distracted or feeling dry or something, and I don't even think we speak it. It's just somebody goes and they're like, and then you know, and it happens, and then we
You
kind of
just feel an embrace from behind, or someone reaches down and grabs your hand or makes eye contact. No, never look Liz in the eye. Working with you guys has taught me so much, but with Dallas especially, it's because I always was just searching for so much validation. And you said something to me in season 3, and you're like, take all the time you need. And you would check in. And I'm like, are you sure? Like, I want to do what you want to do. And you're like, no, like, I want you to know that when you're ready, we are here. And you gave me all the space to be and to learn. And I never knew what that was like. And having this leader give us the permission and the space to do that. And the space is safe.
Yeah.
We cannot be vulnerable in a space that is not safe, not truly. And you give that to us. Dallas, I want to say thank you. Thank you for providing that to us. Because I don't think I'll ever experience it in quite the way I am now, but I hope that I can bring it.
That's I'll take it.
Well, thank you for that, Amber. That means a lot. I will say that and this is for anyone who's watching and for us moving forward in our lives, it does go back to this principle that I didn't always follow. And it wasn't until that moment that I had before The Chosen where I had a failure and in my career, and someone said to me, it's not your job to feed the 5,000, it's only to provide the loaves and fish. Now, that principle not only applies to results, but it also applies to time. And so Amanda and I, when we first launched The Chosen, the thing that we said was, instead of thinking about how can we impact the audience, how can we impact the end user, let's focus on one thing at a time. The first thing we have to get right is this. First thing we have to get right, the first people we have to try to impact in some way positively, to give love to, and really give a family to, is the people on our set. And if we can get that right, then the performance and the actual production, then that will then be the second step. And that will take care of itself if this thing is right. Now, and then if that thing is great, then the audience will appreciate it. And then if the audience appreciates it, then they're going to have their lives impacted by the content. I always say it at the beginning of every season, let's be good to each other. Let's just be good to each other. And then if we're good to each other, then scenes like this will have a better chance of succeeding. Like, if I put aside myself for just a second, see what could the other person that's been put in front of me need? If that becomes the focus, it really is extraordinary what ends up happening. And I saw you guys doing that
That's
for each other.
exactly what happened,
There was,
actually.
there was a selflessness that took place in this scene and that took place in Italy. It hopefully is something that we practice in our daily lives as well. Because you guys genuinely were there for each other in every conceivable way. It was so gratifying to know, oh, they've got it now.
They would literally say, they'd be like, what do you need? At any given time, one of them are coming to, what do you need? Do you need anything from me? Let me know what I can do for you. And it was
in the beautiful way, like when you know we've all been crying together, and then you know someone has a close up, and we all know we're not in it, but then a sort of a reverence settles on the group because everyone's holding space for that moment and making sure that the same energy is created, because we've all experienced the other way where people are like, not my close up, peace out. And they're gone emotionally and energetically, and that was not the
But that's the thing is, if what you just said, what do you need? As opposed to, I need X. So what do you need in marriage, in life, in friendships? I think of this as a husband sometimes. I think of what I'm going to give, and I don't actually think of whether or not the man actually needs that. Starting with what do you need is scary, because they might need something that you're not normally good at giving, or that you don't want to give, or whatever.
But it'll be enough.
Yes.
Sometimes that's it. It's enough.
Yeah, but this concept of giving and sacrifice and death to self and what do you need is a radical concept that the show is trying to put a spotlight on. I think the fact that we're living that out on set every day, I think it's not a coincidence that it plays out in the scenes like that, and that people are having the same response. And so I'm grateful.
To show it through characters who aren't perfect, and to show how difficult that is through these characters. Like, well, if they can, you can.
Yes, and that's the key, and we'll close with this, which is you guys are inhabiting flawed human beings. And you're flawed, and I'm flawed. We come to the set going like, I'm flawed. I'm not the best actor in the world. I'm not the best director in the world. I'm not the best writer in the world. But we're going to give everything we can to each other, and this is going to be hard, but that's why we do it. The problem that I've had many times with other biblical adaptations or Jesus portrayals that I've seen is that Jesus is the main character, and it's just, and then he did this, and then he did this, and then he did that. I'm like, I can't really relate to the perfect Son of God. Like, I can't really, it's hard for me to enact that. But by seeing flawed, broken people attempting to do it and succeeding at times and then failing but continuing to do it, the hope is that you can go, okay, like you said, if they can in the midst of this, then I can too. So, well, thank you.
Spero davvero che vi sia piaciuto. A me ha lasciato tanto, soprattutto quelle immagini che ci mostrano anche la sofferenza che sta dietro la sesta stagione. Sarà sicuramente qualcosa di veramente intenso. Allora, fatemi adesso questo regalo, iscrivetevi se non l'avete ancora fatto, condividete perché il pubblico italiano di The Chosen possa vedere, possa conoscere, possa approfondire. Dai, creiamo veramente una diffusione a larga scala di questa meravigliosa risorsa per la nostra fede. Appunto perché tante persone grazie a questa serie sono tornate a leggere i Vangeli, sono tornate a pregare e sono tornate a vivere la vita di fede, ed è questo che noi vogliamo. E che allora condividetelo, commentate, ditemi che cosa vi ha colpito, una frase, una suggestione, come si dice, l'approccio di qualcuna delle attrici sulla materia o il regista. E se ancora non l'avete fatto, guardate l'analisi della prima stagione e della seconda stagione di The Chosen. Il nostro cammino va avanti. Grazie per avermi seguito fin qui e ci vediamo alla prossima.